Joining us now to talk more about all of that, former Utah Congressman and Chairman of the House Oversight Committee, and now Fox News contributor, Jason Chaffetz. Jason, it's great to see you.
No, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So tell us where you sit in terms of these, first, the tariffs and the trade situation. Are we in a negotiation in terms of the Trump administration pushing back on China? What do you think is going on?
Before the election, this is exactly what Donald Trump foreshadowed that he was going to do. There is some short-term pain, but there is some long-term gain. And I think the reason Donald Trump, he wouldn't be the president if he didn't get those centrists, if he didn't get those blue-collar people. And he went to those workers and he said, listen, if you want a different result, you're going to have to elect somebody different who takes a different approach. That's playing itself out now. And I think the heartland of America is cheering him on because they know that we have been screwed overseas for a long time. And here we are making progress on China in NAFTA, and that's exactly what he said he was going to do.
We'll see if they change their behavior in terms of stealing the intellectual
property. Yeah, but at least we're in the game.
Somebody's got to push them to do it.
That's right.
Let me switch gears. I got to get a lot of things in with you this morning, Jason, because I reported earlier in the week, my sources are telling me that the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, will testify on September 5th before the House Energy and Commerce Committee. September 5th, the president tweeted this morning. Social media giants are silencing millions of people. Can't do this even if it means we must continue to hear fake news like CNN, whose ratings have suffered gravely. People have to figure out what is real and what is not without censorship. Jason, your reaction to all of this? What's going on with social media?
When Congress calls you to testify, it's not an optional activity. So the idea that these people think that they can just negotiate their way through it, look, these social media platforms, when they make a fundamental decision that they're going to be the editor-in-chief as opposed to providing a platform to allow that free speech, they're inevitably going to cause some political problem on one side of the aisle or the other. The fact that they've been shutting down and suppressing some of these voices, they're going to pay a price. And there's going to come a point where Congress is going to say, look, we may need to treat you more like a utility as opposed to just allowing you to suppress these voices that you may not agree with.
Something's got to give.
No, I said this earlier, they're an oligopoly, and it's the fact that there's so much power concentrated in so few hands is really, in part, Congress's fault. As Facebook was gobbling up all these companies like Instagram and WhatsApp, Congress, even conservatives say, hands off, but then you have this concentration of power and people's voices are not getting out there. And then you get the backlash. Facebook, again, has moved so slowly and only made changes when it got caught red-handed and its user base got angry. And I think it's too little too late at this point.
Congress will also have an avenue to come in and engage with these folks because of the cybersecurity issues. If they're not able to push back on people that are penetrating the system, if they're misusing this information and allowing it to be sold or otherwise penetrated so that it can be manipulated when they have... I don't understand, for instance, I think one of the questions is, how do you enter into a user agreement with a 14-year-old? I can't believe there have been more lawsuits with young people who posted up pictures and said, wait a sec, I'm a 14-year-old. No, where else in the business world can you have a contract with a 14-year-old?
Wow.
And then utilize their information, sell it, and profit from it?
So these are the questions that are going to come up, you think, on September 5th? What else are they going to ask him?
The cybersecurity part of the equation is going to be what are you doing to manipulate minors? Because I think that is an impossible question. I don't know how they answer that question. And then they're going to push on, is there political suppression here? And why shouldn't we be engaged in that? We should know that. Those user agreements, does anybody ever read them? No, they don't.
They have more power today than they ever have, David.
Well, and on Facebook, I love the fact that there's an entire MTV series that's long-running based on people impersonating other people on Facebook, but they're more concerned with shutting down conservative speech. That's what's...
They should be about authenticating who those people are. If you look at how a domain name server, a DNS technology works, I think there's a lot of people that also want to flip off that switch and say, I don't want to hear about anybody outside of the United States of America. Now, again, those are more consumer demands as opposed to should Congress get involved in regulating. The Congress has a problem, though, because 95+% of the people, they don't understand how it works. And the IT problems within the government are big. There are literally $90 billion a year we spend as American taxpayers on cyber issues, 250,000 employees, and it doesn't work. I mean, one good trip to Best Best Buy need to have better security than we have right now.
So you're of the, I want to back up a second. Are you of the opinion, Jason, that the Congress should have more oversight over social media?
No, I'm just saying that there are some pegs, there are some avenues, there's some wedges that are going to drive them into this discussion. And you start talking about protection of people's information, protecting minors, what is the right public policy, what should be the law about if you take a 14-year-old information, if she is out there surfing the web, posting up pictures, doing things, can you really profit from that? Can you really take a 14-year-old's information and sell it?
Well,
that's what they're doing.
Let me flip it around, though, and take the
slow disclosure of terrorist activity and terrorist speech and things like that.
I understand what you're saying, but is that government's role?
Government will have a wedge to get in and ask those questions.
They're more powerful than they ever have been before. Whose role is it? Well, whose role is it?
If a parent isn't involved, where else can a 14-year-old go and engage in an agreement? You can't. It's against the law right now. So how is it that they can take that information from a 14-year-old?
Couldn't you make the argument that any time a 14-year-old is impacted by drinking Coke every day that the government should be involved?
Well, the government has been involved in manipulating those types of things.
Kid can go out and drink 20 Cokes a day.
But they're not entering into a user agreement. They're not giving the Coca-Cola Corporation or PepsiCo the ability to take that person's information and then sell it about her and then target advertising to her.
Yep.
They're
They're
making money off the backs of even minors and their activity online, and it's not disclosed. Listen, I have said for years, these social media companies are asking for it. They need to regulate themselves, and they are reckless. It's the fake it till you make it attitude of Silicon Valley, and they were literally rolling out services where people were broadcasting murders and suicides. And then when they get caught, Mark Zuckerberg is like, oh, well, that didn't go well.
Let me give you another example. Facial recognition is a huge issue.
Yeah, tell us about this.
The Coca-Cola Corporation doesn't take your picture and then market and sell it to advertisers to then target that person. So then you walk into a store. And if you have to sign a user agreement, which you do, how do you do that to somebody who's not 18 years old or older? You can't do that.
I hear exactly what you're saying. My concern always is, as you point out, the government gets a wedge in, and then all of a sudden, these companies across the board become nothing more than utilities run by the government.
Well, they should have fixed it themselves.
And if they don't treat them fairly and equally, if they're targeting conservatives, knocking them down, suppressing their voice. Look, at one point, I had nearly 300,000 people on Facebook. And then one day, they switched the algorithm. I put out a Facebook post, and it goes to about 12,000 people. Now, why are they making that self-selection as allow it to be? Again, private company, they don't have to play by First Amendment rules.
Why does the New York Times get to pick what letters they get to publish?
Hey. Well, they can make their own choice, but that's not a platform.
But they're a publisher, but these social media companies have acted like for so long that they're not publishers. They're not picking and choosing. It's freedom. We're here to let you communicate with anyone and everyone you want to.
Share everything.
Hogwash.
You're going to have to find somebody more sympathetic than the New York Times, I tell you that.
And real quick, you are the chairman of the Oversight Committee. What's your take on what's going on in terms of the FBI and the DOJ right now? We've been talking about this and these investigations.
I'm telling you, Jeff Sessions is probably the worst attorney general we've had in the history of attorneys general. He's been absolutely pathetic. He's there in name only. He's not doing his job. The president is having a little bit of a Twitter war with him, but he's not equally applying the law, and Congress is fed up with it. He's not providing the documents. He's terrible. I can't say enough bad about him.
But other than that, you like him.
Yeah.
I think the president's going to fire him.
I think until the Mueller probe's done, he stays there. But the moment that happens, within the hour,
he's out. Jason, it's great to see you.